who's buying papers today. I wonder about a certain generation, whether they are interested in newspapers or even local news at all, I'm afraid.
Port Talbot's a town with more than its fair share of both glamour and grime. It spawned a remarkable number of stars, but its industrial heritage has also left it with the worst air quality in Wales. The outline of the steelworks dominates the skyline, belching flames and smoke. Despite the smog and an ugly 1970s redevelopment, it inspires a passion in its loyal sons and daughters, quite literally in the case of Hollywood star Michael Sheen. The in-demand actor will soon be taking time out of his LA life and hectic filming schedule to spend 3 months back at his parents' home in Port Talbot.
He always says that there's a very dark energy in Port Talbot, and he says that's been personified by Richard Burton, by Anthony Hopkins, and he feels that as well, you know. And when he's coming back here, he gets really excited as he's coming down the motorway and seeing the Port Talbot there, you know, stretched in front. He gets this thrill and feeling of excitement, you know, coming back into Port Talbot.
He's coming home to rehearse for a new National Theatre of Wales production of the Passion play that will be acted out in the streets of the town this Easter. And he's putting his heart and soul into it.
He feels that he's had so much out of this community and benefited so much that he wants to put something back in. And this is his way of bringing recognition to the people of Port Talbot.
Michael is doing his best to inspire a new generation of actors from Wales.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cut. I had to go back up and do it again. So that was my first time ever in front of a camera. I just looked like a right whale.
His own fledgling career was followed closely by the local newspaper, the Port Talbot Guardian. But since the paper closed 18 months ago, it's been harder for anyone to get into print.
I can tell you on behalf of the Operatic Society, and probably the play, the little theatre as well, and everything like that that's in Port Talbot, you've got to keep pressing and know people and keep pressing and pressing.
The Guardian covered the town for almost a century. Now it's gone, like others across the UK, the victim of declining readership and advertising revenue. But the closure has put Port Talbot under the spotlight in another way, as the focus of a study funded by the European Union.
The research will be looking at what happens to community when they don't have a local newspaper. I mean, it's not true to say that there's no local news about Port Talbot, because there is some, but that they don't have a dedicated newspaper. You know, there's no forum for people to kind of talk about things and get involved anymore. So, you know, it's like your voice, your community voice has gone, really.
They're trying to find out what happens to democracy when people don't have full access to local news.
You don't get journalists sitting in on local council meetings, for example. You don't get local journalists going to the local courts. They're not there. And by not being there, not only are they not able to report information which helps people to have an understanding of their community and make better informed decisions within it, but also, of course, the whole accountability role of journalism, the way in which journalism is supposed to keep our local authorities and government honest.
Thank you for everyone who has helped to organise this day.
One man who feels that local people have lost a platform is Jeremy Bailey. He helped lead a campaign against a plan to build the world's largest woodchip-burning power station just a few hundred yards from his home.
Well, Port Talbot is actually the worst polluted town in Wales. We have the worst air quality in Wales and the second worst in the United Kingdom. And part of the reason for that is because we have traditionally been an industrial area, But this is being increased now by the number of power stations that are coming into the area. The air that we breathe is becoming increasingly dirty, and that's affecting the health of the town.
The campaigners found a willing ear at the local paper, which often published their views on the front page until it went out of business.
We were very sad to hear that The Guardian was closing, because we had been able to have some excellent articles, often on the front page, so people could see this on the newsstand. Not only so, but we'd built up a relationship with some of the reporters, so they understood our campaign. We felt that that was a place where our voice was being heard most clearly. And although there was also the opportunity in the regional newspapers, they necessarily didn't have enough space or time to go into all the detailed arguments.
It's not just the big issues that people care about. Small things can matter just as much to a community, especially when it feels the achievements of its young people are going unnoticed. In nearby Neath, which The Guardian also served, Llangatug pupils are preparing for their school production later this month.
Yeah, I'm Scaramouche and We Will Rock You, and she's Meat.
Meatloaf. Yeah, so I got to do a Scottish accent.
And I got to do a Cockney one, so a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Oh, we love it. We all like a family together. We love it.
We've done it since we started school. We've always come into the music room and just found a home, really, haven't we?
Every lunchtime.
Every lunchtime.
Their coach, professional singer Kirsty Roberts, used her contacts to persuade Sabrina Aloesh, star of the West End show, to come down to Neath to give the children some coaching.
We were very, very lucky in that she'd actually contacted Ben Elton, who wrote We Will Rock You, and he called and left voicemail for the children, and Brian Maid left us some signed posters for the children, and Sabrina's actually agreed to come back to watch the opening night in Llangatug School. And this is all fantastic, and this has all sort of been done very, very quietly, and nobody actually in the area knows a lot about these children, or in fact, most of the children that I teach. There's just a wealth of talent in the area here, and it's just a shame that because we don't have our own newspaper any longer, that there's no way of sort of telling the public.
It's not just singing in which the pupils excel.
In the school we have several pupils who have reached World Championship level, including horse riding, motocross and gymnastics, but unfortunately, due to the lack of publicity, the school community knows about what's going on, so do their families, but rarely, I believe, does it go much further than that.
And we work so hard at everything.
And not just us, like other choirs as well.
Definitely.
And like youth groups who do stuff like this. But yeah.
It's like we put our hearts and souls into it, because this music is everything to us.
Yeah, really good. Very good.
Dave Roberts was a sub-editor on the Neath edition of The Guardian. He says the heart and soul has been ripped out of the community with the paper's demise.
My initial feeling when I heard that The Guardian was to be no more was one of shock, really. And I think that was followed by general concern, because yes, it was sad to see it go. I mean, that's where I started my journalistic career. But it really was a case of Guardian by name and Guardian by nature, because anything and everything that happened went into The Guardian.
The paper campaigned on many important issues during Dave's time there, including claims of serious pollution from the then BP chemicals plant in Baglan Bay.
The paper gave all sides, the local authority, the company, the chance to air their views, but most importantly, the people living in the Baglan and Sandfields area. Without the paper, they would have found it more difficult to keep on hammering away at their case.
He's worried that watchdog role is no longer being properly fulfilled.
Complacency can be dangerous, and it will take quite a big event for people to wake up and realise just what they've lost, and realise that, yeah, somehow they've got to start something to replace it.
Hello, Captain Beanie here. How may I help you?
Are you there, Captain?
Yeah.
This is a Venusian hire
Oh,
company.
you want my assistance?
We request you.
Yeah, okay. I'll be there in a minute. This is a job for Captain Beanie. Away!
Back in Port Talbot, local superhero Captain Beanie has been making headlines for the last 25 years. He started his career by sitting in a bath of baked beans for 100 hours, and his madcap antics have so far raised £100,000 for charity. Today, he's collecting for the local Tea Haven hospice shop.
Are you okay? Oh, I'm very well. Thank you very much. Cheers all. It's all going to great cause for Tea Haven. Thanks to the Port Talbot Guardian, you know, I had such a great rapport that primarily they putting me on the front page more often than not, and you was one point in call. As you can see there, you got the front page of the local Port Talbot Guardian, and you could see the young version of Captain Beanie there doing a sort of a sponsored walk.
Now that front page slot is harder to bag.
It's just word of mouth sometimes. You know, and people must be so frustrated thinking, look, we got this event coming along, we want to raise awareness for a charity campaign, and we're not just getting the word out there, you know. I mean, I can sense the frustration because I've been through it myself.
So where do people get their local news these days? The South Wales Evening Post, 10 miles away in Swansea, covers the area and publishes a weekly pullout. There's also the Western Mail, local radio stations and the local television news. The council and the steelworks also publish community newsletters. We asked people if they provided enough information.
Probably not, no. There's a lot swept under the carpet and we don't get to hear about it.
It never brings up anything on Talbot on the news, on TV, it never does.
There's a lot of things going on that are not getting the coverage.
It was probably months since I've seen anything about Bryn Coch, where I live in.
Not as much local news as what I'd like to see. Things that happen that could affect me or my family in the area. It would be nice to see more of that.
More and more people are getting their news on the internet these days, and a number of websites have sprung up in the two towns.
That's good. Hold it there. Come a little closer now.
Peter Knowles took photographs for The Guardian for 40 years. He's been out and about snapping pictures of Captain Beanie and a protest against a wind farm planned for the Avon Valley. They'll appear on a website he's set up himself to provide local news to the people of Port Talbot.
A lot of people who still ask about The Guardian and they do miss it. Most people you would talk to in Port Talbot would say, you know, it's a pity The Guardian's gone. Truly, if they brought a printed newspaper back now, whether it would sell, I think it'd be just as bad, honestly. I see the opportunity for this because of the low cost. There is no distribution. People drop into it or out of it as they wish. Is that the answer for the future? I think that could be it, the way things are going.
But Peter is finding the website a lot of work for little financial reward.
The Port Talbot News is at the moment a labour of love because, as newspapers are probably finding, I'm having difficulty selling advertising.
Another group trying to start a local news service in the town is finding money a stumbling block too.